Hey, good morning, you guys. Hope you're having an awesome day. I don't know if you've been following along on our massive modern custom home going into Temecula wine country, but if you saw our last video with the incident we had with the septic tank, or if you follow over on our Instagram page, then you probably saw the last video. We had a fluke storm blow through. Our septic tank was in the ground. We have to wait 3 days before we could fill those up with water and get them inspected, but the storm blew through. Biblical rains came for like 2 hours, filled up the pit, and the tanks floated and tipped over. Anyway, we've got our operator here now, the company that delivers our tanks. They're here now. We're going to take a crane and we're going to lift those tanks out and make repairs to that, and I'll cover that when I get up to the top of the hill. But right now, we're at the bottom of the hill where the third tank is going in. They're here setting that right now. They've got a pit down here that's about 15 foot deep, and they're putting in this third tank. And what happens is the two tanks up above feed down into this bottom tank, and then this bottom tank has a pump inside of it, and it recirculates the water and pumps it back up. But there's also an irrigation system that goes down here, a drip line system, and all this water comes down. And this water, they say you can drink this water. However, I'm not going to give that a shot, but they say the water's so clean you can drink it, and these advanced treatment systems, but it goes out into an irrigation system, and I'll cover all that once this thing is installed. But like I said, if you haven't been following on this on our YouTube channel, we haven't been filming much on YouTube because we've been so busy, and I'm not a videographer. I'm a general contractor for my client first. But let's go over right now and check out what's happening here. These guys are lowering this tank into the pit, and then we'll go up and see what happened with the other tank, and we'll cover what's going on inside the house. Our insulation contractor just left. He just finished. They were here about 4 days. You know, the house is quite large. This is a gentleman that we actually reached out to us on Instagram, so we use Instagram as a networking tool. And I have a big company that does all my insulation, but that company's worth millions of dollars, and this guy's a sole proprietor, so we gave him a shot because he was proactive. We gave him a shot at the contract, and he did an outstanding job, so we're going to feed him all kinds of work. Anyway, let's go over here right now and check out this tank being put in the ground. And I hope that you guys are having a great day. You know, don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video if you like the video. And let's go over here and find out what's happening. So you can see right here, they've got the crane here and they're lifting the tank in. They put the bottom in already. Go down here and find out what's happening. So they put the bottom down and they have a gasket that goes on there, and you know, like an adhesive gasket. And then they put these things together in sections, kind of like Legos. And that's how it works. So they'll put this section down because these sections are quite heavy. You can't just put the whole tank in there, probably tip the truck over. But you know, there's quite a few sections that go on here, and they put the bottom down first. The key here is to make sure everything is nice and level, which they've done here. You know, Mikey dug this pit. If you're familiar with my projects, you know Mikey. He does all our digging, and that guy can operate anything. But Mikey and them dug the hole here and made sure everything's nice and level. Now they're going to lower this down, and this will sit on top of that big gasket that's on there, and these things adhere together because of the adhesive that's on the gasket. But pretty cool the way this crane works. It just has that strap around it, and when they lift up on it, it pulls tight onto the concrete so it doesn't fall out and smash somebody. And that's the last thing we want. But yeah, they're going to set it right on top of the gasket. Lined it up perfect before they sit it down, because once they set it down, you know it's going to stick to it. And then after this is all done, we have to let that sit for 3 days before we can fill it up with water, because let me fall down the bank here, because we have to have that inspected to make sure it doesn't leak. But you see right here, here's the other 3 sections that go on there. I told you these tanks weigh thousands of pounds. And then there's a lid, so they'll put this section next, then they'll put that section in. Right here's the lid. But that's what's happening out here today. We're just getting these tanks installed. Hopefully we don't have another fluke storm that blows through. It looks like it could rain a little bit, but I don't think it's calling for any rain in the forecast. But these guys do an excellent job setting all of our stuff. You know, it wasn't their fault that the tanks floated up above and flipped over. That was just 43 years of building. First time I've seen that happen. But that just goes to show that every day isn't a perfect day. That's it. So that's what's happening this morning, getting this advanced treatment system in. You know, but we still have a lot to do up here. You know, we have Mikey ran the trench down for the tight lines from those other tanks. Matter of fact, we'll go up there right now and check that out. Let me get around this truck. Mikey dug the trench that comes down, and we had a great question on our Instagram page. Somebody asked us if we ever do any boring, and we do boring on commercial jobs. You know, that's where they send out a hydraulic bore and it just bores through the ground, but we can't do that here because all these pipes have to be inspected. So this trench is, you know, 5 feet deep, and our tight lines will come from our other tank up above. The tight lines will come from the tank up above and come down into this third tank. You can see the trench here. Now, you see we have the slope irrigated, and we have landscaping on the slope. That's a requirement by the city of Temecula. I told the city of Temecula we have a lot of trenches that have to go in here, but they don't care. They want this stuff put in first. So we had to dig around all the irrigation and put this trench in. Now, we also have a utility trench that has to come down over here. We have a low voltage trench that has to come down, and we have a trench for our water. You can see right down there, our water line's just laying on the ground temporarily, but we have to put a trench going up this hill for our water line. And that utility trench that's going over there for our electrical's on the other side of that truck right there. Our utility trench going in is a lot bigger than this trench. It has to be 4 feet deep to the top of the conduit because it's a 4-inch conduit. But, you know, this is what it takes. Advanced treatment system, a lot of work going in here, a lot of work going into building this structure. So let's go up top right now and see what's going on up there. Okay, so we're up top of the hill. You can see the guys putting the tank in down there. And then here's the trench that Mikey dug yesterday. This isn't finished because he has to dig across the road and then tie everything into that tank. But he's here right now. You guys that have been following the channel, you know what happened with these tanks. This pit's 15 feet deep, 25 feet long, and 11 feet wide. The whole pit filled up with water. That's how much it rained. And these tanks tipped over. That one tipped over. You see how the tanks go together. I just showed you down below. That one tipped over and came apart. The bottom came off of it. So now what Mikey's doing, we have to get that piece out of the dirt. You know, it was suctioned to the bottom. And that's why that tank tipped over. The tank wanted to float when the pit filled up with water, but it had a vacuum and it was sucked to the bottom of the mud. Well, the tank floated anyway, and it separated from the bottom of the tank. You can get over here without falling in. So the bottom of the tank is underneath the mud. And that tank wouldn't float when this thing filled up with water, so that top section, those 3 sections came off at the bottom and then it tipped over. You can see it down there. So now Mikey is gonna dig this out. And then we're gonna get that crane up here, and we have that large excavator, and we're gonna lift these tanks out, because super important that these tanks are sitting level. And with all this mud in there and the fact that that tank floated and tipped over, we filled it up with water and we sunk it back down, but they have to be level, okay? So what we're gonna do is take these tanks out. Hopefully we're gonna have to take them apart and try to pull them out in sections, because that crane will not lift that tank out. So we're gonna set these up here on the ground, and then we are going to dig all the mud out like Mikey's doing now. We're gonna dig all the mud out, and we're gonna put gravel. You see this gravel we had delivered right here. We're gonna put gravel down there. We're gonna use a laser. We're gonna make sure everything is nice and flat and level, and then we are gonna put these tanks back. And then we're gonna start tying everything in. Like I said, these tanks get pumps inside of them, and there's electrical that has to go in there because there's a float bowl. For you guys familiar with mechanics, there's a float bowl inside the tank. And what happens is, if the tank ever gets clogged and that float floats all the way up, it will set off an alarm that's going in the garage. There'll be an alarm in there with a red light on it, and it's very loud, and it lets the owner know that, hey, you got a problem with your septic system. That very rarely happens, but it's just so they know that their system is not working. And by the way, for you guys in California, you know this. These advanced treatment systems, okay? This tank right here ties into this tank, and then it goes down the hill and ties into that pump tank at the bottom, and there's a pump and electrical that goes in that tank as well. And then there's an irrigation system. That water sprays out into an irrigation system. However, these tanks are monitored by the state of California. So they will have a wireless sending unit on it, okay, that sends a signal. And if this tank ever stops working, the state of California will know about it, and that's the first phone call you're getting. You know, this is California. The rules and regulations are ridiculous in this state, and especially when it comes to septic systems. I think San Diego County and Riverside County are some of the strictest in the nation when it comes to septic systems. So we're going to continue forward, getting this reset. You know, it's not a perfect world, and sometimes things happen, and this fluke storm that blew through was one of those things. But I haven't seen that much water come out of the sky in this state in a long time, and it was only for 2 hours, but it filled up this whole entire hole. So we're going to continue forward, getting the septic system in. Then we're going to get the lines tied in. We're going to get the alarm panel and all that set up in the garage. My drywallers are starting out here tomorrow. My insulation man just left, so let's go in and check out what happened on the inside. Okay, so let's take a look inside the house. You can see here, all walls are insulated. It's going to be a little dark in here, but you guys can see it. We insulate every wall. I've mentioned before on my YouTube channel how we try to build the most energy efficient homes in the industry. And I'm sure there are people a lot better than us at it, but we do our best. So we try to build the most energy efficient homes in the industry, quality homes that we can, but we insulate every single wall. And seeing how this house is double 2x6 framed, what we have is we have R21 in the exterior walls. I'll show you right here. We have R21 in the exterior walls, but we have 2 bats of R21. See the other bat back there because it's double 2x6 framed. So we have R21 double in the exterior walls. We have R30 between floors, and then in the rafters up top we have R38. So, and this house is extremely quiet. I've been yelling for my guys, they can't even hear me on the other end, but this house is almost 200 feet long. So all the insulation's in. The guys did an excellent job. Like I said, this is a gentleman we met that reached out to us on Instagram. So instead of leaving negative comments on Instagram, this guy reached out and used it as a business tool. We liked what he was doing, being proactive, so we gave him the contract. So, you know, that's how you do things, right? Be proactive, use it as a networking tool. I'm brand new to social media, so, you know, I've seen negative comments on our Instagram page, and we just ignore those because we're not going to reciprocate any hate. So that's it. Insulation is done in the whole entire house. Looks good. Let's walk through and take a quick look. You know, but before we insulate it, I had mentioned to you, it's very important that you go through. I have a meeting with all my subcontractors. We make sure all the light switches are where they're supposed to be. You know, we make sure nothing got moved. We check all of our can lights and everything with the laser. You know, we set everything with lasers because I need everything to be dead on the money, perfect and in line with each other. So we check all that. We make sure all the outlets are where they're supposed to be. We make sure we're not missing any outlets. We make sure all the low voltage is where it's supposed to be. Every bit of that. Super important, because once this drywall goes in, once this insulation goes in and the drywall goes on, well, moving that stuff is going to be a pain. Especially in this house, like I said, double 2x6 frame walls. But yeah, everything's looking great. These guys did an outstanding job. We're very happy with the work they did on the installation, and we're going to continue to feed them work. Yeah, and I'm going to link his, in our Instagram page, I'll put a link to his business page. But yeah, very happy. Looks good. It's going to get a little dark in this hallway, so I'll just stop right here. But all walls insulated. Yeah, dark. Anyway, that's it. So what's going to happen now tomorrow, my drywallers are coming. They're going to start out in the garage doing drywall out there because we have some more things we're doing on the inside here. But looking good. Looking good, moving right along. So we're hoping to wrap this house up by April, you know, late March, early April. We did have some setbacks from the city, you know, because inspectors were out sick and all that. We had some setbacks, but we're moving right along. I think we're still right on schedule. Looking good. Hey, I wanted to share one more thing with you guys. I don't know if you follow on our Instagram page at TCI Development, but I want to show you one more thing that we put in our houses whenever we had floating cabinets. And we started doing this way back in the 80s, all through the 90s. We used to manufacture these ourselves, get them powder coated. And this is for floating cabinets. So you can see across here, this is about 12 feet across. little less than 12 feet. We have a floating cabinet going here. It's going to be mounted 12 inches up, but you can't just rely on screws to hold those cabinets to the wall because you have no center support. And a lot of guys do that, and that's fine. I don't really care what other companies do because that's on them, and they know what they're doing for their business. But for us, we use these floating brackets. Like I said, we used to make these. You can get them in different lengths. These are half-inch thick. They'll hold 280 pounds a piece. But we screw these to the studs, and then my cabinet guy, when he brings his cabinets out, he can just set them right on there. We make sure they're perfectly level. We set them with a laser. He can set them right on there, and now this cabinet's supported. So there's going to be granite countertops and probably stone sinks going in here. Going to be quite heavy, and we all know that children will climb up on cabinets, and a lot of things happen on top of cabinets. So I'll just leave it at that. But we put these cabinets in the wall, and you can see right here, we screw them. Okay, they have 6 screws right here. You can see that. Now we use a grade 8 3/16 bolt to go through here, and you can screw them with SDWSs, whatever you want. But just keep in mind, don't use drywall screws because your bracket's only going to be as strong as the stuff that's holding it on. So like I said, these are nice level. I put red tape on them so my drywallers don't hit their shins on it, because they do have a chiseled edge. But yeah, these brackets, these right here are 15-inch. Okay, and our cabinets are 2 feet, so you won't see these. They'll be underneath the cabinet. They do hold 280 pounds a piece. Your cabinet guy and your finished carpenter is going to love you because they're nice and level, so he doesn't have to worry about his cabinets being level, even though he's going to make sure his cabinets are level because he's a professional. That's Tony from Wicked Woodcraft. So he does our stuff. But anyway, yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys. We have these all through the house. This house has 5 bathrooms. We put these floating brackets here to hold the cabinets, and then we don't ever have a sagging problem. So, you know, just a quick tip for you guys. Okay, my guys just came up the hill. Let's go over here. They're going to try to lift these tanks out. Let's go over here and check it out. Okay, you can see what he's doing. So he's driving stakes between the gasket to try to separate these concrete pieces. Okay, there's no way we can lift the whole entire tank out in one piece. So he's going to drive these metal stakes between there and try to get, you can see how good that two-sided gasket holds. So he's driving these stakes, and he's going to try to separate this lid so they can lift these off in sections. He's got the crane hooked to it. A lot of work. So, you know, lesson learned. If there's rain coming, which we didn't know was coming, it just blew out of nowhere, out of the desert. But, you know, like I said, it's never, every day isn't a perfect day, and we're going to make the best of it. We're going to remedy this problem, and we're going to move forward. So that's what's happening. Okay, that's it for today. So, appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate you guys if you give us a thumbs up on our video. It just helps YouTube to recommend our video to other people. So, hope you guys are having an outstanding day. Happy holidays to all of you. I'm going to try to film more, and I apologize to you guys that follow the channel that I haven't been filming a lot, but I'm just trying to find the time to do it, and I'm not making an excuse. Well, yeah, I am. I'm making an excuse. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Hope you're having a great day, and hopefully you can learn something by watching our projects. That'll help you with your project. You guys have an outstanding day.